Welcome back to another episode of NIC TV. Following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, the National Irrigation Commission Limited has been working diligently to ensure its infrastructure is properly assessed and teams mobilized across the island to restore irrigation services to customers. In this week's episode, the NIC's project managers for agricultural development projects provide updates on post-hurricane recovery efforts and discuss the next steps to keep the vital projects moving forward. First, we hear from Mr. Collie Clark, project manager for the Essex Valley Agricultural Development Project.
Initial assessment of the damage that occurred during Melissa. For the buildings in particular, the processing facility was affected. The level of damage that would have encountered on that building would be some parapet wall, that there was some damage to those. And as a result of that, water would have entered through those areas and entered into the administrative part of the building and caused some amount of damage to the ceiling in that area and also some paint on the walls and other partitions in that particular area. For the administrative building though, we had some damage to the guttering system, and because some of those gutters became loose, it also damaged one of the solar panel that is affixed to the top of that building. Other damage that we experienced would have been on some of the roads. 3 roads in particular had some amount of scoring, which we believe were to some extent minor to the project. Other damage that we would have seen would be damage to fence. The Tex pump station, where we saw some amount of damage as a result of the heavy wind. After the passing and the assessment have been done, we are still now awaiting the final assessment by the contractors for us to have a better understanding of what the actual cost of the damage sustained, and thereafter to determine what portion of that cost will be attributed to the project, given that some of these works are still under the supervision of the contractor and some of these are incomplete work.
We now hear from Mr. Wayne Williams, project manager for the Southern Plains Agricultural Development Project. He shares post-hurricane updates.
With regards to the infrastructure works, there were some damages observed after we completed our assessments. In the Parnassus Agro Park, there were some damages to some of the main roads in the park that experienced excessive flooding, but the majority of the park was able to withstand the impacts of the hurricane. The areas that were susceptible did receive some negative impacts, and we are currently working with the contractors to determine how best to get those parts of the park back up and running. With regards to our second park, which is the one in Amity Hall, Bridgepen, that's the one in St. Catherine, we did notice some damage to some of the roads. The majority of the roads, however, also withstood the impact of the storm very well. We also reviewed the pipeline network, and that also withstood most of the impacts of the storm. But the areas that we found that were compromised, we're currently working with the contractors to complete the best way to not only to rehabilitate that particular area of the park, but also to improve on what was done before. We have received all the final assessment in terms of costing to do the repairs. We've also received all the final assessment in terms of strengthening to improve what was there before. And with that, we're now able to go back to the same contractors on site and complete the work that we decided needs to be done to ensure that we're able to withstand storms going forward in the future.
And that's it for this project update episode of NIC TV. Please continue to monitor our social media platforms at NIC Jamaica Ltd for more post-Hurricane Melissa updates.